Shop. How's everybody doing? So glad to be back here. It's been a month. Say hey when you come on. We are here today to do the block of the week. And this week, let me show you. We are doing the split rail fence block, and that is this block right here. Really easy but really cute block to do a lot of different designs in a quilt. A lot of people use a lot of different colors. You can choose your own colors. Um, if you've been joining us for this whole series, we're doing a quilt sampler block, a quilt sampler quilt. And we're doing a block each week. People are trying to stay with the same color scheme, or you can use scraps of fabric. What I did was in the top left and the bottom right block, I used the green and orange. And then in the top right and the bottom left blocks, I used the pink and the blue. So I could use four of my different colors in my blocks. And if you don't know me, I am Becky from Living the Dream Quilt Shop. It's been a month since I've done this, so I'm kind of rusty at it. But we have already finished two of our blocks, and I'm going to switch this screen down here so you can see what we've been working on so far. And you can always go back at any time and do these blocks on your own with our videos. So the very first block we did is the 9 patch, and we're doing these to finish at 12 and a half, or to finish at 12 inches. But our unfinished blocks are coming out to about 12 and a half. So we've got the basic 9 patch we've done, and this is 9 patch with a twist. So if you go back on our prior videos, you'll be able to see the different videos that we've done and be able to catch up with us if you're new here. And behind me, I'll come back up here. Behind me, this is all 12 blocks that we're going to be doing. So we'll be, let's see, this is block 3. So we'll have 9 more weeks, 8 weeks of blocks, and 1 week to do. I'm going to show you how to put the borders on. Basically for beginners, but we have a lot of people quilting along that are seasoned quilters that are having a blast with this. Some of these blocks may look hard to you. They are not hard at all. These are all really easy blocks. And today I decided, I know everybody has seen 9 block quilts before, but some of the other patterns we do, I wanted everybody to see not only a block in their colors, but I wanted them to see quilts that are done with just these blocks. So let me see. So here we have, now this pattern is just two rails. So in each of these, they only have 2 of the 3 split rails we're going to do today. But that's a really nice rail fence pattern. And look at this. This was done with a scrappy quilt. So really nice design in that. And you can turn these blocks anyway to get different designs. So here is one of the ways that you can turn your blocks to get a different look. If you've got a darker fabric that you're using and then you go out to lighter, that's another look you can get. And then here, if you can see that pattern on the sheet, that is one of the famous split rail pattern quilts from a whole bunch of these blocks. And if you come in, say, hey, let me know you're here. We always like to see who's here. And then here is a very unique way to use your split rails. You can just put sashing around it and do it like that, and look how pretty that quilt turns out. So many different things you can do with this. And then here is one more pattern that I really liked with the split rail pattern. So many different things you can do with each of these blocks. And let me see, I've got this in the way. See if I can move this out of my way so I can actually see. There we go. There's Miss Diane Busman. Hey, Diane, good to see you, sweetheart. Everything, there we go. Now I got it. It was all grayed out. Good to see you, Diane. Diane, you've got to tell your sister I have now gotten into the diamond painting phase. It is so great and I'm loving it. All right, so there is some of those. And oh, here's one more block that we had done. This is also, I just wanted to take some different fabrics when we did week 2 and do some different combinations for the 9 patch with a twist. And that's another block I made, just a fun little block that might look really good on a kid's quilt, just to show people what you can do with all of that. There's Diana Starcase, sweetheart. How are you? All right, sir. We ready to get started on our quilt blocks today? I am missing a lot of my people. Oh, here, I've got another tip for you guys today. So, while we were at retreat this week, I saw a girl in a quilt shop actually that was cutting a very small quilt. There's Miss Sharon Kincaid. Hey, Miss Sharon. Um, and she was using the 60 inch or 60 inch, 60 millimeter rotary blade to cut very small pieces of fabric. Now, there are 3 sizes for the beginners that don't know this. There is the 60 millimeter, the 45, and then the 28, which I didn't have a 28 rotary cutter, but I do have the blade. So you can see how small it is compared to this. It's about the size of this middle piece. So when you are cutting fabric with your rotary cutters, if you're cutting big pieces of fabric, this blade is the best to use. You get through it quicker, it doesn't take as long because the blade, of course, is bigger. But when you're working with smaller pieces of fabric, I would definitely, especially if it's under 6 inches, I would definitely go down to the 45 millimeter. And then if you're doing like inch or 2 inch, I would go down to the 28 millimeter because as you cut through your fabric, it's really hard to get right where you need to be or just a little bit beyond when you have such a big blade. So just wanted to throw that tip out there for all the new quilters. Okay, so the first thing with our split rail finch, you need to decide there is, of course, 2 rails and the space in between. So you need to decide what colors you want to use for, and you can have all 3 different if you want. There is no rhyme or reason. It is your quilt. You get to make the decisions on it. Now, because it's called split rail, I always like to have my 2 rails on the outside the same color and a different color in the middle. And you can do all 4 of the blocks we're going to sew together the same colors, or you can do them different like I did up here in mine when I did this quilt. That way you've got an array of colors in it. So what I'm going to do today, let me think. I am going to go ahead and use my basic white for the inside of the rails. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some of my border fabric that I cut extra border fabric. I'm going to use some of my border fabric for the 2 rails on 2 the opposite sides. And then I'm going to use this really pretty pink, peachy, orange color for the other 2 rails. So we'll see how that's going to turn out. Now, if you are using all of the same color, you can just do a whole strip with the fabric at 2.5 inches. For your railings, if you're doing, like I am, 2 of the same, I just need a 13 inch by 2.5 inch. And if you're doing them all different, you need 6.5 by 2.5 to do your rails. Aw, there is my brother Joe. Hey, Joe. Mwah. Good to see you. It is good to be up and about. Absolutely. Yes, I wish I could see you, Joe. Hey, Miss Eve, how are you, sweetheart? So, since I am going to go ahead and do two of the rails, the outer and inner rail, and do two of the blocks the same color, I am going to need, let me see, I think this is for my borders. I don't want to cut my border up. I'm going to need 13 inches, and I'm going to need two strips of 13. So let's see, I'm just going to cut my width of fabric, 2.5 inches, and then I'll cut it down to two 13-inch strips. And if anybody has any questions, throw it up on here. I will answer your questions. I've really missed you guys. It's good to be back. Okay, so I'm just going to put that ruler on there and make sure I've got everything straight. I always have to zero it out from the right side because I'm right-handed, and then I can cut from the left. Oh, I don't think my blade's very sharp. There we go. And now I'm going to flip this over very carefully so I don't mess my fabric up. And I'm going to do my 2.5-inch cuts. So because I'm only doing two blocks, I only need 13 inches for each, the top and the bottom rail. So I'm going to cut this. Set this aside. And now all I need to do, because I've got it folded over once, is cut 13 inches. Zero this out first. And I'll have two rails because I'm cutting the front and back at once. Get my fabric straight on there. Just make sure when you're cutting out with it folded over that your fabric is straight so you can get that nice, straight, even piece. Now I'm going to measure out 13 inches, so 24 down to 11, right up on there. And I'm just going to use my little ruler, that's all I need for this, to cut this little section. Well, hello there, Miss Kim Jeffries. How are you, sweetie? Quilt along with us and make this, Kim. And then I'm not going to do the 6.5. I want to show you girls how to do it this way. Okay. Now from my white, I'm actually doing the middle rail of all the blocks, so I need two 13-inch for the white by width of fabric. And how is everybody done on their squares? If you go to Living the Dream Quilt Shop on YouTube and look at our videos, Seth has done a video on posting to the live videos or to the tutorials. So make sure you watch that and post videos of what you've been working on with us so others can see your progress. We always love to see how everybody's doing. Okay, I'm going to square this off. Awkward angle here. There we go. And tomorrow night, if you're not doing anything, make sure to catch our live on YouTube and Facebook. We are doing pre-sales for the new fabric for Shop Hop. and the magazines. We got the magazines in today, so make sure to catch us for that so you can get your order in early and not lose out. All right. Another tip I have for new quilters, you can see I'm using a 12.5 inch ruler here, square, to cut this. If you have a very skinny ruler, like a lot of people like to use a ruler like this but long, it's really hard to hold this in place on your fabric. They like to slide. I have found the wider the ruler is, the easier it is to hold in place, and the weight of the ruler kind of helps to hold the fabric down. So that's another good tip for all of you. Alright, now all I need to do is cut my pink and orange fabric. I don't see Sandy Wilmoth on here today. She must have been busy. And anybody that comes in, say, hey, if you're here, let us know where you're from. If you're new, we actually have a girl from Australia that's been watching. That is so exciting. We love to see people from other countries on here, other states. So welcome in everybody that is here. That one's not wide enough, so let me cut it with the fabric here. And as you can see from the blocks behind me, if you're just doing 2 rails and you only need that 13 inches, you can go ahead and cut the hole with the fabric strip. We will be using that in later videos. I need to iron this for later blocks. So don't be afraid you're going to waste that piece of fabric. You won't. And how is everybody enjoying the weather where they're at? It has been crazy. During retreat, we had 80-degree weather one day. We froze to death the rest of the days. So it was kind of crazy walking out the one morning and feeling 80 degrees outside. None of us were dressed for it. I still have a wrinkle. A wrinkle in time. Spray that with some of my Best Press. That'll bring that right out. If you don't have Best Press, it is wonderful to use. And I spray all my fabric with it and iron it before I start a quilt, just to give it that little bit of oomph. And stabilizes it a little bit better. Let's see, 2.5. Now I'm just going to flip this around to square it up. Put that back in place. It is a pretty day outside. There might be a lot of people outside enjoying their day, but they can catch the video tonight when they come in. And we're going to meet here every week at 4 to work on this block. Every Wednesday. Okay. And we need 16 inches, 13 inches on this. So I'm going to pull this over here. Line it up pretty well. Take this away. And then I've got some tips for sewing strips for you all. Okay, that is pretty straight. Not only when I line it up on my mat to kind of keep it straight, I also line it up with my ruler because sometimes you can't see the lines on the mat, your material's laying on it. So you can line it up with your lines on the ruler. Make sure your piece is even. If you have pieces coming down below, um, you need to make sure you straighten your material, make sure you cut it evenly. It means the world when you're sewing your quilt together, your quilt blocks together. Okay, so we're going to cut on that 11, and I'm going to cut on this 24. Make sure I've got that lined up again. And there I have my 13-inch pieces. Now, what did I do with my white? Oh, right here. Oh, and I didn't, let me iron the white real quick and cut it to size. And if anybody has any questions while we're going along, just ask me. There is Karen Warwick. Karen, we missed you so much at Retreat, girlfriend. So much. You were greatly missed. Your name came up a lot. Sandy's name came up a lot. We really missed you guys. All right, get that lined up. Oh. 2.5. And 11. Oh, Karen, you should have been there. We had a blast. Had some new quilters. Lots of food again. Lots of great food. We made bags. Miss Jeanette taught us how to make bags, so we all made our own purse. A lot of fun. And I actually got a whole quilt done that you'll see on next week's live. Oh. Okay, now I've got that one finished. So what I'm going to do, and if you wanted all 4 of your blocks different, that's perfectly fine. So yours would be 6.5 inches. Yes, instead of 13. What I did, I'm going to make 2 blocks one color and 2 blocks another. So I have 2 13-inch strips because I can just sew this all together as one and then cut it. And I will have what I need for my 2 blocks. Just kind of cutting out a step. So here is one of my, that's going to be one of my strip sets. And then here is another strip set, and I think this peach and orange will really bring out the colors from these blocks. So I'm going to start sewing my strips together. Is everybody up with me? And I see we've got more people coming in. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you say hey when you come on. Let us know you're here. We love to have new people on here. See what did Karen say. It was all good. Karen, no, it was awful. You didn't miss a thing. Karen, it was over so fast. I told the girls we're going to have to quit having so much fun at Retreat because they say the more fun you're having, time flies when you're having fun. It flew way too fast. It was over before I realized it. It felt like a day. And here it was 5 days. I couldn't believe it. Okay, and if you haven't been with us before, I'm going to move this around a little bit here. I am actually sewing with our most basic Janome machine. It just has turn knobs for the different stitches. Doesn't have a thread cutter. To show everybody, you can sew any quilt with the most basic of machines. We have set the date. Yes, we have. And I didn't bring my phone out. So I can't tell you. It's the first week of November. I want to say the 6th to the 11th, but I'm not sure. But Angie, tomorrow night on the live, I will be announcing it. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Angie. You watch me anytime you want. That's the great thing about online. All right, so I'm going to start sewing these strip sets together. Oh, and I just unthreaded my machine. So first I'm going to rethread my machine. Then I'll sew these strip sets together. So this is a really easy block to do, and just go online when you get a chance and look at all the quilts made from the split rail fence pattern. So many beautiful, beautiful quilts, and you can change the look of it just by changing the way you've got your blocks set. That is what is so wonderful about quilting. You can come up with all these different designs from very simple patterns. As a lot of you saw when we did the 9 patch with a twist, just the difference in making a couple of cuts on a block and turning it around, it just changes the whole look on it. Love you, Angie. You have a great night, honey. 4th through the 8th. It's Wednesday through Sunday, Karen. 4, 5, 6. Yes, so so it must be the 4th through the 8th. Thank you. Karen, I can't add. I was subtracting 8 from 4 and getting 4. That's what a quilter does, right? All right, let's try not to unthread this time. There we go. Oh, a tip I wanted to give you guys. So, when you are sewing strips, one of the most common things to happen is as you're going down the strip, you get faster and faster. And you go out of your 1/4 inch. You kind of wonk out or wonk in and you pull it back over. Well, when you iron that over, you will see it kind of wonk in and out. And when you cut that and sew your block together with that, that is going to make your block a little bit wonky. So the most common place for that to happen is at the end of the strips. So if you're sewing um, with the fabric, that's 44 inches. By about 20 inches, they say people's mind begins to stray and they start going off a little bit. So if you find yourself doing that a lot near the end of your strips, just cut it down, cut it in half, do your strips in 20 inches or 22 inches. That way your strips are nice and straight. That way your blocks will be nice and even and straight, and there won't be any wonkiness when you're cutting your fabric. Oh, yay! Well, we need to celebrate Sandy's birthday then. Did you have a good time with her when you went up, Karen? You didn't call me and tell me. I see Debbie Markley's online. Hey, sweetheart. Good to see you on here. All right, now I'm going to go ahead, instead of just clipping my thread and ironing that, I'm going to go ahead and just add another piece onto it. So I'm going to do the first 2 rails of the second set of blocks. There's Willa, my cousin Willa. Hey, or well, I think we're cousins. Willa's not so sure. I don't think she's wanting to claim me is what it is. Willa has been on my water line for the whole 20 years, right, Willa? And we just found out when I read an obituary, we are from the same small town in West Virginia. Our families grew up together, and I think we're related. I'm going to find out. So, Karen, we played a couple new games. Well, one of the games was the same. We did Quilter's, The Greedy Quilter, and Jennifer Huggins won again. She won all the fat quarters. And then I made up a new game called Quilter's Jeopardy that the girls seem to have a really good time with. And we did the bingo again. So we had a lot of fun at night. We went to Somewhere Sewing, that place where you and me and Sandy took the picture last year. They did a great job with us after hours. Everybody got a ruler from them. Um, they did gave us all a discount. Let us let us search and find all the perfect fabrics. So it was great. Karen Bush, you were also missed greatly. Your name came up a lot. Were your ears burning? We missed you, girls. The two of the new people that came had baby. Their daughter, it was a mother daughter that came. Uh, Her daughter and the daughter that was with her, it was her twin sister, had a baby while we were there. So they got to go see the baby and tell us all about the baby. So that was some good news at retreat. Yeah, we and Jennifer also found a petting zoo in Millersburg. A bunch of us went. We had the best time. Wendy had a really good time. She was trying to talk all the little kids into taking goats home, and I think the parents were ready to kill her. Oh, but it was a lot of fun. Okay, so I am pressing all my seams in one direction from this. We only have one place to meet um, on the when we sew the blocks together. So only one seam that we're going to nest, so that makes this a really easy block. All right, let me check and make sure I've got my 13 inches here. Yep. And yep, and my seams look pretty straight so far, thank goodness. While I was in Millersburg, I sent my seams already on the quilt you'll see next week on the live. So that didn't work out too well, but I did a little bit of seam ripping and fixed them. All right, so now I'm just putting my fabric on the other side of the white for my second rail. And if you need to, you can put clips or pins in to keep your fabric straight. I just like to put mine in and hold it down, put the pedal down and put the needle in, and then I just straighten it as I go. But I did not start out doing that, just so you know. It took many years for me to be able to do that. And if you're new and you haven't seen the other videos, I have a little piece of washi tape on my machine. I think you can see that from the camera. That is marking my 1/4 inch seam for me. So I'm following that guide to keep a straight 1/4 inch seam. Oh, it was a really nice store. And yes, God, it was so good. I'm trying to move Wendy back here. I told her the house in front of me is for sale. And Cecil and I would come and get her in a big semi and move her and Mary back here. Because I think they need to be near us. Oh, Willa, thank you. I love you, honey. You are so sweet. Yes, so cousin. last rail on the second piece. Straightening as I go. Some people like to pin. If it's short pieces, I don't pin it, or if I don't have any nested seams, I just kind of sew slow and watch what I'm doing and keep it together. Brother Joe, if you're still on there, I haven't had time for me and Elaine to work on your quilt, but we're going to try this year. Elaine started working for the tax company, and I don't get to see her much except at retreat. All right. Cut this. And cut this. And now I'm going to iron those, or I'm sorry, press those. You want to press, not iron. If you iron it, you tend to push your fabric, and you don't want to do that. So I kind of ease up and lay it down, but sometimes I press a little bit. I knew Sue Henderson would have my bottom if she heard me say that. Okay, there is one of my sets of split rail to cut. I'm going to cut that in half in a minute, so I'll have 2 sets of blocks. And I would turn the camera around so you could watch me iron. I just didn't want to make everybody dizzy. And here is the second set. And I'm going to check my measurements again. All right, right at 13 and right at 13. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I need 6.5 on each side. So I'm going to take my square ruler. I'm going to bring this down a little bit so you guys can see better. Okay, there we go. I'm going to take my square ruler. I'm going to put this edge right on 6.5. Make sure my bottom and top are nice and square. And I'm a little bit off here. Did I iron it right? Let's see, 6.5. There we go. Okay, I had my fabric up there a little bit. And I can see just a little bit of fabric overhanging there. Okay, so I'm going to cut that. There we go. I lost my cutters. And because I am right on the 6.5 and 6.5, and I see a little tiny bit of material up here, I'm going to square that off so my block doesn't get wonky. I just had a little tiny bit on there. And now I'm going to measure this one. 6.5. And 6.5. I don't think anything's sticking out, but I'll cut just to see. No, I did good on that one. Okay. Get rid of these little threads over here. All right. So there is 2 sides of my split rail. And now let me cut this. Everybody keeping up with me? I did not get another Cecil doll this year, no, but I still have my old one. I use it quite often. For any of you wondering, it's a voodoo doll. The girls did for me of my boyfriend, so I can try to keep him in line as much as possible. 6.5. 6.5. Looks like at the top I'm a wee bit short on this one. check my ironing. Make sure I don't have any gaps there. I might have been inside my 1/4 inch doing these, and that made me come a little bit off. Right there, okay. And 6.5, okay. Nope. Now check the second block. And I got just a little bit of overhang up here at the top. I'm going to take that off, but it's 6.5 all the way around the sides. So just a little tiny bit I just shaved off of there, just to keep it even. Okay, so when you get finished with that, now I have all 4 pieces from my 2 13-inch sets of strips. Look how pretty that is. So you can turn this any direction you want it. Now what I like to do is turn it this direction, and then down here on the bottom, turn this one sideways, and this one out like this. And I think that makes a really pretty block, but you can do it any direction you want to do it. You can use any colors. I cut to 6.5. And each of the blocks are going to be 12.5 unfinished, 12 inches finished, Karen. Now, we've had a few people that theirs have come up a little bit short. I think maybe their 1/4 inch is needs to be taken in just a little bit. So I'm probably going to have them cut their blocks just a little bit smaller when we go to cut the blocks to do the final quilt. But that was mostly for the beginners that were working on it. Is everybody that's working with me today up with me so far? I want to make sure I'm not leaving anybody behind. And if you don't want to say anything, you can always watch this again and do it over again and kind of pause it as you go. And also, Seth is going to be putting the coloring pages up. I'll wait just a few minutes to make sure everybody's up with me on this. Next week, let me see what we're doing next week. I should have looked in my book. The churn dash. So, I don't know if you guys can see this good enough over here, but right here is the churn dash. And you can check those out online. I'll have a couple examples again next week of the churn dash, but we get to do half square triangles. And I'll show you some good ways of doing that next week. Seth should be adding the link to the coloring page on this video later today. I tried to get a hold of him before. I didn't know how to do it, and he was at work, so I couldn't put the link for the coloring page in, but I will have that on here later today. And I don't know if he got last week's in. Does anybody know if he got last week's last week? I guess it's been a month ago, but it's supposed to be weekly. For those of you that don't know, God told me to slow down a month ago by giving me a heart attack, so I had to take a few days off. But on the last video, which was the 9-patch with a twist, Seth was going to post the coloring page for the split rails. So I'm not sure if he ever got that up there or not. He actually flew in from Memphis to take care of his mother, and he was a great caretaker. It was so good to have him here. I got to send out a shout out to my daughter in law, too, for letting him come. It was amazing to have him here. Okay, I'm going to sew these together, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to flip this one over like this, and I'm going to flip this one over like this. And I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch right down the sides here after I even them up. So just take your square, let me bring this over here so you all can see me. I'm just going to even these pieces up, make sure they're even all the way around. And I'm going to sew 1/4 inch seam down the side. Make sure I got the right, yep, okay. Put my foot down. I'm used to my other machine. I'm not used to my foot not automatically going down when I push on it. Alright, then I'm going to take this, even this up. Make sure it's even on the sides and the bottom. And then we are going to press these, but what I'm going to do, so watch this real quick. What I'm going to do is lay them out the way I want them. So I want it like that. So on the top one, I'm going to press my seams to the right. On the bottom one, I'm going to press my seam to the left. That way, when we go to sew this piece together, the seams will nest, and you'll see me do that in just a second. So this first one I'm pressing to the left. Like that. And the next one I'm pressing to the right. So Karen, how is it in Alabama today, honey? How's the weather? And Diane and Eve, how's the Georgia weather? Oh, Eve, I forgot you texted me. Eve, I will check. Did you get your order yet, or do I still need to check on that? Okay, so that is how this is coming out so far. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip this over right on top. And what I want to do here is I want this, let me see. I need to get you closer here. Scoot over here. Okay, so I want this middle seam on both sides to nest together inside. So what I'm going to do is open this up. And as you can see, I've got one seam over here and one seam right here. So they're not meeting right now. So I'm going to slide this over a little. And I'm going to walk that up with my thumb so those two seams meet right in the middle. And then I've got this flap on this side going to the right, this one going to the left. So they are meeting. Now I'm going to use a pin because I do not want that seam to move. So I'm going to stick a pin about 1/4 of an inch down. Bring it through, and it's coming right through on the seam on the other side. I'm going to come down and stick the pin back in the seam, and it's coming right out at the seam on this side. So no matter, even if it pulls, like say your end over here came out this far, that does not matter, which mine doesn't. Mine's meeting, but you want this to meet no matter what. So if your end is a little bit off, don't worry about that. Just worry about that seam right there, those two seams coming together and meeting. And that was a good question, Karen. Thank you. You guys keep me up on the stuff I'm leaving out. And when I come up on that, I am actually, before I pull the pin out, I'm actually going to take a pencil, if I can get one out of here. And I'm going to draw a little mark on where I put that pin in 1/4 inch down. I'm drawing a little mark with my pencil, so when I pull this pin out right before it goes into the foot, I can make sure that I'm coming right down on that seam. Now make sure the rest of my fabric is straight and finish my block out. That's another reason I like this block. There's only one seam to nest on the whole thing. Of course, until you get to sewing your blocks together. But it makes for an easy block. Okay, so now let me iron this. Or press this. When I say press, I mean iron. So you girls, guys, don't pay attention to what I say. Pay attention to what I mean, okay? Just so we got that straight. And here is my block. No matter how you turn it. Isn't it pretty? And let me see how we matched up. 12 and a half. 12 and a half. We did good. Yay. Do I have any questions on this split rail block so far? And how's everybody doing with theirs? You've got to catch up. That'll be fine, Karen. It took me a month to catch up. Okay, so if nobody had, oh, look here. I must have had a little piece on my material. It's will it pull out? Yeah, it did. It pulled right out. Thank God. Okay, so this is the split rail fence block. Really pretty, really easy to do. Please make your own. Try it out if you've never tried it before. It makes great patterns. If you missed the beginning of the tutorial, go back, check that out, so you can see the different patterns it makes in the beginning. And I will see you all here next week to do the churn dash block. And I will see you tomorrow night for the live. So join us, Facebook, YouTube. We'll be doing a live sale tomorrow night. Lots of fun. Get in on the fun. And thanks for helping me live my dream. And I hope you're all living yours. Okay, absolutely, Karen. Thank you very much. Love and hugs, everybody. I will see you all again soon. And thanks for living the dream with me.